So the economic figures today show we're all getting poorer again, and we're led by the most incompetent Chancellor in history, Rachel Reeves. And there are some very big questions. She said she worked for 10 years at the Bank of England. Turns out it was 5.5. Said she was an economist at the Bank of England. Turns out she was in customer service. And on expenses, well, she had very big problems when she worked for a bank, and as a member of Parliament had a credit card taken away. So here's the question. Will the real Rachel Reeves please stand up? Please stand up.
Nigel Farage has never been one to hold back, and this time his attention is locked on Rachel Reeves, igniting another political storm that's grabbing headlines. For years, Reeves pointed to her time at the Bank of England, saying she spent a full decade there and building a reputation as a serious financial voice. But the timeline tells a different story. Her actual time at the institution was about 5.5 years, not 10. That gap is more than a simple mistake. When someone is trusted with guiding a nation's finances, accuracy and transparency matter. In positions of such responsibility, the public expects clear facts, because credibility is the foundation of leadership.
To say about new tech today?
We are at the forefront of some of the most exciting developments in the world, like artificial intelligence and life sciences. We have opened up our planning system to build new infrastructure, like onshore wind farms or data centers driving the AI revolution.
And of course, housing. This government says it's absolutely determined to build 1.5 million homes during the course of this parliament. Interestingly, that was the similar target for the last Conservative government that was in, although I have to say with housing, and we'll deal with it separately perhaps, but even if we do build 1.5 million homes, that won't even be enough for the number of legal migrants that come over the course of the next 5 years. But will growth return? Are these...
Nigel Farage wasted no time challenging Rachel Reeves head-on, accusing her of repeating claims that don't fully match the facts. Critics say this isn't the first controversy tied to Reeves. In the past, her parliamentary credit card was reportedly withdrawn after more than £4,000 in expenses remained unsettled. Now she's assuring the public that the UK economy is moving in the right direction, pointing to a modest 0.1% increase as evidence. Farage, however, isn't persuaded, and many observers share his doubts. Questions are growing about how long such assurances can continue before her credibility faces serious strain. With public trust in political leadership already fragile, the pressure around this issue is rising fast. For Reeves, the moment could prove pivotal. Whether it leads to clarification or deeper scrutiny remains to be seen. One thing is clear: Farage shows no sign of backing away from the issue anytime soon.
Good evening. So, as you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, has been off to China. Now, to be fair, this was not a last-minute panic trip. It was booked some time ago. Although I have little doubt she would have urged the Chinese, please, please, please buy government bonds, because our 10 and 30-year yields, that mean interest rates, have been going up and up and up over the course of the last few weeks. That at the same time, as inflation is going up, as growth is at best flatlining, and the pound is starting to tumble on the exchanges. I have to say, I thought her speech today, I'm not even going to show you any of it, frankly was a nothingness. I believe she's completely and utterly out of her depth. And when she says that growth is the number one mission of this government, well, you know what? Increasing the size of the public sector, whilst at the same time doing things that reduce the size of the private sector, is not, in my opinion, a recipe for growth. She looks tired. Well, that's fair enough. It's not easy being a cabinet minister. But somehow, you just get the feeling, I get the feeling, she won't last more than a few months. I wonder whether you agree at home. Will Reeves...
Nigel Farage insists his criticism of Rachel Reeves is about more than political point scoring. It's about trust. For years, Reeves has said she spent nearly a decade working at the Bank of England, a claim that strengthened her image as a seasoned economic voice. But official timelines suggest her tenure lasted around 5.5 years, far shorter than the figure often repeated. Farage quickly seized on the discrepancy, arguing it reflects a broader problem of credibility in politics. His question is simple. If a public figure is willing to stretch the details of their own career, what else might be presented less than clearly? Supporters of Farage say the issue isn't a minor error, but a matter of public confidence. When leaders shape economic decisions that affect millions, accuracy and transparency become essential. Farage's message is direct. If Reeves cannot be fully clear about her past, many will inevitably question the promises she makes about the country's future.
Today, Rachel Reeves gets up, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, says the Tories have lied to the nation, they've hidden the figures. It was almost like a sort of old-fashioned Stalinist Soviet show trial. The Tories are the guilty men, and, they tried to answer back, but they couldn't. But tucked in the middle of all of this, and not really getting the coverage that it normally would have done, is the whole scheme for winter fuel payments. Now, just to remind you, Tony Blair brought this in, nearly 25 years ago. There were criticisms that some very rich pensioners were getting a winter fuel allowance. But what she's basically done is said that unless you're on pension credits, you ain't going to get the winter fuel allowance. And this affects 10 million people, the vast majority of whom are not rich or well off. And this comes at a time when gas prices have risen significantly. I have to say, I think it's rather a cruel thing to do, and I certainly won't be voting for it as and when I get the opportunity. There were times in the past where maybe the argument was it wasn't necessary, it had been given as a bribe, but it's almost like Labour is saying, well, we don't care about the pensioners because they're not going to vote for us anyway. And that money that could have gone to pensioners has gone for massive public sector pay rises, including over 22% for junior doctors. I put it to you.
Rachel Reeves has also faced scrutiny over her own financial record. In 2015, reports surfaced that her parliamentary credit card was withdrawn after more than £4,000 in charges remained unpaid. For critics, the situation raised uncomfortable questions, especially given her role in shaping economic policy. These cards are intended strictly for official expenses, and leaving balances unsettled inevitably attracts attention. While Reeves was not the only MP involved in similar issues, that fact has done little to quiet the criticism. Nigel Farage quickly pointed to the episode, arguing it reflects a wider concern about financial discipline and accountability. His argument is straightforward. Responsibility at a national level should be matched by responsibility at a personal level. If questions exist about how finances were handled in the past, critics say it becomes harder for the public to feel confident about promises regarding the country's economic future. Ultimately, the debate goes beyond one individual moment. It touches on standards, public trust, and whether political leaders are held to the same expectations as everyone else.
Those women being forced to wait longer for their pension and hit twice by changes in 1995 and then again in 2011 have been done an injustice. As Shadow Pensions Minister in 2011, I was proud to work with Age UK, the trade union USDOR, and very many women, including my mother, to call on the government to think again. And we were pleased then to win a partial concession so that no woman had to wait for more than an extra 18 months before they could claim their pension. But I said then, and I say again today, that it does not go far enough in righting this wrong. There are still 2.6 million women who have lost out as a result of the government rewriting the rules, of whom 300,000 will have to wait an extra 18 months before they can retire. Last week, I caught up with Barbara Bates, who lives in County Durham, who I campaigned with in 2011. Even after the government's concession, Barbara still faces working an extra 78 weeks before she will see her state pension. The osteoarthritis affecting her wrists and her thumbs when I first got to know her 5 years ago has now spread to her hands, her knees, her neck and her right foot. She said, "No government can change the way our bodies age, and in particular those of us who started work at 15 in the 70s, a lifetime of menial and heavy jobs that are vital but unnoticed." Like other members, I've also been contacted by constituents. This morning, Margaret Cutty phoned me during her office tea break. She works mostly on her feet, with lots of lifting as well, and in the past year she has had 3 operations. Her husband has just had a triple heart bypass, and she wants to be able to spend more time caring for him as he grows older. Because of these changes, she won't be able to do that. Barbara and Margaret are just 2 examples of what we know are hundreds of thousands of stories. I will give way.
Nigel Farage knows exactly how to tap into public frustration, and the growing criticism around Rachel Reeves is giving him plenty of fuel. The big question now is whether Reeves will address the concerns directly or hope the issue fades away, but the political damage may already be done. Reeves points to a 0.1% rise as proof the economy is improving, yet many critics argue that such a tiny increase barely counts as real progress. Farage mocked the idea of celebrating it while ordinary people struggle with rising living costs, slow wage growth, and heavier taxes. He claims these weak results reflect poor decisions and policies that put extra pressure on working families. At the same time, reports of pay increases for political leaders have only deepened public anger. For many citizens, it creates the impression that the political class is disconnected from the daily struggles faced by ordinary people.
Good evening. I think somebody in the Treasury got their sums wrong when they were advising the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. You see, the Labour government say it's not a problem. 75% of farms just won't be affected by these new inheritance tax rules. And yet the National Farmers Union themselves say it will be at least 2/3. I have to say my conclusion on all of this is the small farmer, somebody running 5 or 10 acres, a smallholder basically, will be fine. The giant agribusinesses, they'll be fine as well. It's the people in the middle that simply won't be fine. Property prices over the last few years have rocketed. Land prices too. In fact, in Lincolnshire, an acre of land now is about £30,000 an acre. And it is true that some billionaires have bought up vast tracts of farmland without ever intending to farm them themselves as a way of avoiding inheritance tax. But what this proposal does is to hit families running farms, families whose incomes are incredibly modest, far more modest than I think most people believe. They've got an asset, yes, that's worth a lot of money. Although for many of them, it isn't just about money. It's about a way of life that's been going on for generations. And I would ask people to think, our countryside is admired the world over. People love the British countryside, and one of the reasons is those families have farmed it so well for so long. Now this was
Nigel Farage makes it crystal clear. True leadership sets the standard, it doesn't reward failure. With growth stuck at just 0.1%, politicians handing themselves pay rises while everyday people struggle is a glaring disconnect. Rachel Reeves's weak economic figures and evasive responses only intensify public frustration. Every controversy erodes her credibility, and without a decisive plan to jumpstart the economy, her window for excuses is closing fast.
So Rachel Reeves has the audacity to tell the businessman Farage that he hasn't got the faintest clue how to manage the economy. This is coming from the woman who has no business experience whatsoever. She spent most of her life as a public servant, aside from, don't forget that, 3 years as an economist. A woman in retail banking, that was. She has absolutely no idea. Her employment record and her budget shows this. We've now got the Bank of England saying that they are not going to cut interest rates anymore and that the economy is going to be flatlining as a consequence of this budget. All the wealthy people are running away from the country. This woman said that she wouldn't raise taxes on working people because she thought, I'll just do a big hike in capital gains tax and that will do the job to fix the problems with the economy. But then she found out that actually that makes wealth creators leave the economy, and HMRC told her that if you put up capital gain tax 10%, that we'll actually lose 2 billion quid a year. So then she was panicking, trying to put tax rises here, there and everywhere, stealing the fuel allowance from her pensioners and whatnot. She has got no idea what she is doing, yet she's got the audacity to tell Nigel Farage that he hasn't got a clue. This is the man who is now surrounded by some of the most brilliant businessmen in the country and the world. He's got Elon Musk on side, who is the richest man in the world. Rachel Reeves has the audacity to say they won't know how to run the show. Give me a break. Now, the Telegraph gave Nigel the opportunity to respond to what Rachel Reeves had to say, and brilliantly he said, unlike Rachel from accounts, I have set up and run businesses for over 30 years, creating jobs and paying tax. Well done.
Running an economy isn't just about policies, it's about trust. Once credibility slips, even the strongest plan falls flat. Nigel Farage is capitalizing on this doubt, highlighting how Rachel Reeves is losing public confidence at a critical moment. If someone has repeatedly stretched the truth, can they really be trusted to steer the country? Critics are pressing harder each day, demanding transparency and accountability. With elections approaching and public trust at historic lows, this controversy could leave lasting damage and potentially shake the Labour Party itself.